Hi, everybody, and welcome to Arizona Broadway Theater's Throwback Thursday. I can't believe it's already Thursday. I am your host, Kurtis Overby, and we are so happy and excited that you have joined us for this incredible half hour with these two incredible talents and two people that I consider my dear, dear friends, Mr. Brad York and Ms. Renee Koher. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi, Kurtis.
These two were the stars of ABT's production of The Addams Family last summer. If you missed it, if you missed either one of them, you missed a big bunch of fun and nonsense. It was very, very wonderful. They have their little dolls there. There's Gomez in the corner and Miss Morticia in the corner. We're going to be getting to those, to know these two a little bit better. And you can always send in some questions, and I will try to ask as many as I possibly can. I probably won't get to everybody, but I will try to get to as many as I possibly can. Just know that I do not accept nasty comments, nor do I accept nasty questions. So please be nice. If you have anything to ask, come on, ask them. They're open books. I'm trying to get to my page here and see where we are. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh no.
While he's searching, Renee, how are you?
I am great. It's wonderful to see you.
So good to see you again. I haven't seen you since the boat.
I know. Captain Brad.
Speaking of the boat, that's a great segue. Thank you, Brad, for setting me up.
Thank you.
I'm sure everyone notices that we've got our presence on social media, on our Facebook. We've got something every day except on Sunday. We've got our Makers Monday, which is an opportunity for you to make some crafts and some wonderful, unique projects from our very own Miss Mary Rooney, who is our props mistress at the theater. We also have Tap Along Tuesday, which is with yours truly. And you can tap along with me as I sit you through a little tap combination. We've got Workout Wednesdays, which are some of our actors and performers and people that we know are certified trainers, and they have been so willing to volunteer a 30-minute workout. Of course, Throwback Thursday is what's happening right now. Of course, we have our Friday Cabaret. And this will get us into our next section. And our first question for Miss Renee. As everybody knows, ABT has a Storytime Saturday on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. And Miss Renee Koher is our ABT Miss Mary Poppins. And she actually does those for us. And she takes the kids through a story time and some music and some dance and some projects. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. Last week they were on the boat and they were talking about ocean and all of those wonderful things.
Aquatic,
yes. But let's get into some questions. Miss Renee Koher, where are you originally from?
I am originally from Chicago, Illinois.
Awesome. Now, did you live in Chicago?
Okay, no, I didn't live in Chicago, but I lived 20 minutes outside of Chicago.
Okay, so you're pretty close to the city.
Yeah, we could see it on a good day. You could see the Sears Tower from where I live.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was really close.
And so now, okay, you've performed with ABT for many years. What else do you do? I know you recently moved here, I want to say a couple years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, technically. We bought a house here and then have been living here now consistently for just about a year. So it's been about a year since we've been in Arizona, and I've been doing a lot of great things. I started a voice studio with the help of actually Cassandra Klapaki, which has been amazing. She really did help me get started with that, which was great. And I am so thankful because now I'm able to teach so many of the Valley's youth, and we do basically vocal coachings, technique training, rep book prep. We do, work on the acting of songs and audition prep and how to get them ready when they're going out to different theaters all over the Valley to to audition. And yeah, so it's been really great doing that. And I love being able to work with the kids in the Valley here. They're incredible talent in this community.
Right? So great. Awesome. And Brad, tell everybody where you're originally from and what else you do other than perform in shows that we've seen you in at ABT.
From Portland, Oregon,
Oh,
up in the Pacific Northwest. Born and raised, was there till I was 23, and then actually came down to ASU in 95 for my master's degree. In fact, the day that I arrived in August of 1995, hottest day on record, 121 degrees, could not take off from the airport. That was a rude awakening to Arizona, I will say. Was here till 2000, and then my roommates and I packed ourselves up and moved to New York, where I was for 10 years, which is where all of ABT introductions came from. Cass and Kyle, we lived on the same street up in Inwood, which is the top of Manhattan Island. And then I came down here and did a couple shows. The first one, Anything Goes. Anything Went in the Tent, where Kurtis and I became really good friends. First show we did. And then I came back in 2010, and I'm currently the Director of Marketing and Development for Arizona Broadway Theater. I have done sales and marketing for the last 10 years. 10 years, Kurtis.
I know. I mean, it's a long time.
Girl, I look older. Oof.
I look younger for somehow. I don't.
Girl, no, I looked at pictures yesterday. You do not look younger.
So mean to me. So mean to me, everybody.
Renee looks younger.
I did get a question. Well, I'm getting a lot of comments and hellos from our wonderful people that are watching. Thank you so much for watching, by the way. I love Renee. She was great in Xanadu. And then there's a question from Miss Betsy Schaefer. Hi, Betsy. She said she wants to know, does Renee only coach kids?
The answer is no. I don't only coach kids. I do have a couple of adult students. And before I moved to Arizona, I used to live in Alaska. I don't know how people know that, but lived in Alaska, and I used to teach a lot of adults there. So no, I don't just coach kids. I also coach adults. In Arizona, I have a few adults that I coach, mainly children here, but I do coach adults.
Awesome. There's your answer, Miss Betsy. Now, if anybody else has any more questions, please feel free to drop them into our comments section here, and I will try to get to as many as I possibly can. And you can be personal. They're open books. I'm kidding.
I will tell you anything. Look, ask some deep, dark questions, folks. I will tell you right I'm on. Nobody's watching. I will tell you what goes on at ABT. I'm telling you right now.
No, you won't. Anyway, let's start talking about some Addams Family. You guys were incredible. An incredible duo on that stage every single night. Tell us about working together and finding those two iconic characters and how you went about trying to find how to do that. Because that can be daunting at times. Yes, Brad?
Yeah, well, I have to say, I Renee is a force to be reckoned with, let's just say. We've known each other for a very long time, and I've watched her on stage, and we've known each other for the most part outside. And I know she's a fantastic performer. I was nervous. I was 100% nervous coming into this. Everybody said, she will know her stuff. Do not know your lines when you're coming in. And I'm doing, that was you, yes.
What did I tell you? I was like, yes. I'm going to tell you right now. She's going to come in off book.
And I've done a show, almost every year since 2010. And if you work for ABT and you do a show, you got work to do and you got to do a show. So at times the learning of the lines could be a little laxed. In fact, not quite sure I ever sang all the words at the end of Into the Woods, but let's just be clear about that. Renee, she's my friend now. I mean, really, we were friends before, but she's really a friend now. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had on stage. Seriously. I mean, I love to act. I like good actors. I love great shows. And this was the best thing I'd ever been in. The set was great. The lights were great. Renee was an unbelievable partner to be on stage with. I mean, she just was there always to support you. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome. And so now finding Gomez, like it's such an iconic character. People know this, and that's one of the scary things about doing a show like this, those expectations. What did you find to be the hardest thing about the character?
Honest to goodness, it wasn't until I put on the wig during Tech Week, and I looked in the mirror, and I was not Brad. I was Gomez. There were struggles along the way. You know, Raul Julia has played the role. Nathan Lane has played the role. You go back to the original television show. And I'm someone who, I don't usually imitate, but I do go back and do research. And I had to tell myself during the 2 weeks of rehearsal, and Danny Gorman and I would often talk about it, is this had to be the Gomez that came out of Brad. And it took about a week, and I had a couple moments of going out and having a few beers afterward and sitting at Applebee's with Danny. I think there were a few tears, and just in the ability to own it. The moment I put that wig on, thank you, Amanda Graham, it was Gomez. It was just me. It was I felt it was just wrap my arms around the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah. Renee, tell us about your perspective about working together with Brad and finding Morticia, which is also very iconic. Her look is, you know, the one thing that everybody's like, oh, if it's not that way,
Yep.
It's not Morticia. Like, so tell us about your experience regarding that.
Well, first of all, working with Brad was beautiful. It was fantastic. Like he said, going into it, I believe every actor has their own process. My process just happens to be that I like to be off book on the first day of rehearsal. And that is my process. But I fully respect the process of every other actor that I work with, because everybody does it a different way. And that's the journey they have to take. I can't dictate their journey for them. So with that, I was not at all worried. I know Brad is a professional. I know he would come on stage, and I know that he would give it his all every time, and that's what he did. And I think that is a great partner, a partner who is willing to go and leave it all right there at your feet. And we did support each other, and he literally supported me, literally with his arms at some points during the show. And I really appreciate that, and I appreciate how giving he was as a partner, as an acting partner. And even if things went wrong, like, we were able to work off of each other and improv and get it back to where we're supposed to be. And that you can't rehearse that.
Nope.
You just have to trust each other. And I think there was a lot of trust in the partnership. I know I felt a lot of trust with him. So I knew that even if, you know, he would always be there to support me, no matter what happened. If I literally fell on my face,
Yeah.
he would be there to pick me up.
And talk about finding Morticia.
Okay. So Morticia Addams, I have loved the Addams Family for so long. I used to watch the television show on the reruns at Nick at Night when it used to play, you know what I mean, as a kid. Angelica Houston, to me, was like the epitome of who she is. And so trying to find Morticia for a girl who loves really outlandish, kooky, loud characters, Morticia was one of the biggest challenges I think I've had as an actor, because everything was in her eyes. Everything was in a finger. Nothing was in there. You couldn't be anything crazy. She's not a Calliope in Xanadu. She's not a Mary Poppins, who was also a relatively easy role for me to play, just because I knew Mary inside and out. I didn't know Morticia. So I literally had to start with like her body and her movement and find how she fit inside of me, and that characterization, and then look at her from a grounded female. Like, she was the head of her household, really. She ran her house, and I wanted to try to explore her in that aspect too, to make her very real. I didn't want to do a caricature of her. I wanted her to be real, because I think that was important in this show, is her realism and the reality, and her problems, because they're very real problems that every woman and mother can face sometimes. Sure. So trying to find her was it was a challenge. It really was. And I had, you know, there were days I remember I had a breakdown. I had a moment of breakdown where I was so frustrated at myself about just I didn't feel like I was giving her everything that I wanted to give her. And I sat on the park bench in one of the scenes there was a park bench. And I sat there and I just started crying. And poor Brad was like, what's going on? And Danny Gorman's like, oh God. And I'm like, it's okay. But I just had to have it. I was like, I felt like I didn't feel like I was giving justice the way that I wanted to. And I'm very hard on myself anyway as an actor, I think. But that was one of those moments. And Danny, we had a chat about it, and he made me feel so much better. And I just feel like from that moment, and that was during tech, I think, it's the tech rehearsal, that moment on, I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm paying tribute to this beautiful woman. I'm going to do it the best way I know how, and I can trust myself in that. And that's what Danny, helped me realize, like, trust myself that nothing can be everything with her. And that's what we did. So
unique that both of you were and this is kind of not a part of my script, but you both talked about it, so I'm gonna go into it. You both delved into, hey, we at some point we both were questioning and we kind of broke down. I don't necessarily know if, I know a lot of people do understand that, but I'm not quite sure everyone understands the amount of attention and detail and the amount of actual personal that personal connection that you actually have to put into the characters that you're finding. And you push yourself so hard in trying to make it right and trying to make it what people remember and or expect, and I think people sometimes just think, oh, we learn the lines, we get up there and we do our little thing, right? It's much more, and I think it's obvious, you both have spoken to it, I had this moment where I broke down because I didn't know, or I was so focused and I was trying this and I was trying that. It just speaks to what we do so every day, right? Actors, we are trying to give the audience something that they want, and that's a lot of pressure. And I know it's like, oh, that's an interesting statement, but it's true, and it can take its toll, and I think it does. And you guys just spoke to that. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We're getting some wonderful questions. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. Let's see. There was one question that was, what was your first show and first role that you ever did?
Ever in my life.
Ever in your life.
I was the little red hen in kindergarten. And I have the beak that I wore framed in my house upstairs, framed. But I was the little red hen in the Little Red Hen in kindergarten.
Ah.
That was the first play I ever did, and I was hooked since then.
And Brad, what was your first role and or show?
Well, I don't think this will surprise either of you that I was a challenging child growing up. I'm a challenging adult. I did not like to sit still. I did not like school. I did not like people telling me what to do. I had a strong sense of the question why, I think, was before no, I think it was, well, why? But in 5th grade, I stayed back in 5th grade. I had recommended to my teacher I wanted to stay back. And at that time, a new music teacher came into the elementary school, Kurt Kasner. And he was a guy who wrote little musicals. And he wrote this musical about Kenny and Katie. And we performed in the Hayhurst Elementary School cafetorium. I remember that. But I will say this. So that was like the first time I ever had a role in words. But he put me on stage earlier that year in a tiger costume. And all I was supposed to do is lay in the middle of the stage. And everybody danced around me and I laid there. I didn't move. And I remember the lights coming through the little holes. And I was like, mm-hmm. And I could see the audience and everybody was having a good time.
Yeah.
And then I was Captain Jake Springer in this unbelievably wonderful little musical play that Kirk Kasner wrote. And from there on out, I was in music and choir and stuff. But it wasn't until I was in high school that I actually was in a major role. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I was a dinosaur.
Well, you still are.
Okay. Be nice. I want to take a little time just to mention to everybody, if you are willing to give to ABT, we do have a donation link. It's a bit.ly, so it's bit.ly/donate ABT relief fund. If you feel so generous, and anything helps, anything will help us get back to producing shows, great shows like The Addams Family, and getting these two back on the stage, because that was really fun to see. So if you're interested, please know that without you, ABT doesn't exist, and we don't have anything to talk about. So please think about when you're giving to give to ABT. So I just got a question, which is kind of interesting because I had it scripted as well. I do have a script, everybody. I do follow things, but then I cut things out and no one knows what I'm doing. So I'm a loose cannon. But I did get a question from Mark to talk about the transfer from ABT to the Herberger last summer, because we are a resident company at the Herberger Theater Center. But last summer, we took the Addams Family downtown once we had closed the run in Peoria at our location there. And then we brought it down to this theater, our theater down here. So talk about that transfer. And I know that there were many moving parts, specifically Brad. You were talking about you're the marketing and development director, and what impact that had and what we had to do. And little Rocky, your baby back there, is on the bed. Tell everybody about that, and a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so like Kurtis said, we transferred down to the Herberger Theater Center with 3 different shows. This was my first time transferring in a show, and I was really excited. I hadn't been at the Herberger on stage since I was in Fiddler on the Roof as the fiddler with Arizona Jewish Theater Company back in 1997, I think it was. So it was very exciting. And what a different experience. I have to say, the Herberger is a much different venue, more traditional Broadway theater style. But I have to say, I think that a lot of the pressure comes on the tech team, the wonderful people backstage at ABT who take the sets down, move the costumes, get the wigs, all of our costumers and such who are there. For me, it was such a cohesive show at the end of the run at ABT. I was confident in the 12 hours that we had to run one tech on the stage, completely different environment. But for the most part, you come on left or come on right at ABT, you come on left or come on right at the Herberger Theater Center. So when those lights came up and we were ready to go, it just felt so natural. But I have to say, from an audience perspective, if anybody ever questions the diversity of the Phoenix Metro audience, we can tell people they're a much different audience in the West Valley than downtown Phoenix. Different responses to different elements of the show, but both very rewarding. Just a really rewarding experience.
Yeah, I will speak on the tech portion. It really is a quick turnaround. We close on a Sunday and we open on a Friday night down there. So we have to transfer everything from our scene shop and on what's on stage, and we have to put it onto the stage at the Herberger, take all of our actors, transfer them into new housing downtown, and we have to rehearse everything just to make sure everything still works and everybody's still in place. And then we had a couple of different things that happened with Addams Family. We had one of the girls had to leave, and we had to put a girl into the show. And then with Brad being the marketing and development director, he also had a cover so that he could attend to any of those needs as well. Matt Mello. Hi, Matt.
Hi,
if
Matt.
you're watching. Matt did, I don't know, how many shows did he do, Brad?
So, it was pretty well split. When I was originally going to do the role, I was going to do everything. But as we transitioned into the end of the, after the holidays, and coming into it, and I transitioned to a new role that added development. I said to you and Cass and Kyle, I was like, look, guys, we have to come to something else. The first person that came out of my mouth was Matt Mello, and Cass and Kurtis both were like, we'll talk to him. He did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I did Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
could have asked him to be here since
he kind of here in are you sweating? Matt is a phenomenal actor, and probably about 24 hours, 48 hours into rehearsal, I was a little bit like, oh, dude, that guy's saying my lines. Oh, he's funnier than I am there, or whatever. And I just decided, and it was such an example of how different the same thing can be.
Yeah.
In all of the right ways. And Renee can speak to that. She was the one who had to play with both of us on
Renee,
stage.
how was that? I mean, you're working with Brad and you're working with Matt.
Right.
Same character. How did that work for you?
Yes, same character in two separate shows, literally. I mean, the choreography was the same and the words coming out of our mouths were the same, but the interpretation was varied. And so that made it so fun for me personally, because I got to work with both of these amazing men who had really great handles on the character. They weren't exactly the same, and maybe Matt and I found something one night that we would do and we'd be together, and then Brad and I would find something different at a different part. So I learned two different shows, pretty much. Yeah. And it was cool because every night I was like, oh, this is exciting. Like, okay, who's on tonight? That's right. Okay, it's Brad. So this show is this. It kept me on my toes.
Yeah.
The entire run of the show, which was really, really, really neat. I never had a moment where I was just kind of like, okay, cool, we're doing this show. I feel like I know exactly what's going to happen. It's no, tonight's this person. I'm like, okay, got to switch shows, switch gears.
And, Kurtis, this, we had different Pugsleys, so different things changed. And I've never been in a show like that. And I mean, it really goes to, the audience has no idea, right? And there's all of that planning and all of that work, all of the preparation by Danny Gorman, all the preparation by you to know, how's Brad going to do doing the tango? How's, Matt going to do during the tango? How's Renee going to do working with both of these guys, and that kind of stuff. And I mean, thinking back and just talking about this, Addams Family was not a simple show by any means. There was a lot going on. And sometimes I'm a little admittedly, I'm a little naive to it. I'm a little on the fluff side, promoting it, doing all the things with Gil Benbrook. We got Susan Casper there talking about this or that and the other. And I've always kind of, tracked along what our production side, Kurtis, Cass, that whole team's doing. And I think, this is a stupid thing to say, but it's very true. I think for the first time ever, I truly felt like an adult actor in the Addams Family. There have been times and other times where it didn't click. It just felt like, and I've said to myself, was it my swan song? Was it the thing that I was going to say, you know what? That was great. And of course it's not, because you want to try great again, or, to try and do it again. But it was fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so let's not talk about the show for a hot second.
Okay.
What are you guys watching right now on Netflix, Hulu, whatever streaming system, television thing you got right now?
Get it, Renee.
What are you doing?
We are watching The Mandalorian. Nick and I binge watched all of the movies, the Star Wars movies. And so they have this television show that's called The Mandalorian that's like a prequel to all of it. So we're watching that, and we're watching a documentary series on all of the national parks around the country, because I wanted to travel. So I was like, what a better way than watch some traveling documentary.
Absolutely. And you don't have to get out, and you can just
go anywhere.
Absolutely. So Brad, what are you binge watching right now?
We came into the quarantine with the last season of Ozark, which I binge watched. I'd watch the series, so I watched that. Kurtis is obsessed. He has some friends he'd like to make. Kurtis, would you like to tell them?
This is a public service announcement. I would like to plead to be Laura Linney and Jason Bateman and all of their friends.
Friends, yeah.
Such an incredible show. That's all I'll say, but I'm campaigning. Go ahead.
I'm currently binging Bosch, Harry Bosch, which is a kind of a crime investigation with the dude. I can't remember his name, but I've seen him in a ton of movies and I never really liked him. And he's fantastic. My sister's been watching this every season for I don't know how many years. And finally she's like, you need to watch Harry Bosch. Yeah. So I've been watching that. Big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. It really is my vice. I just enjoy it so much. And that's all I'm binge watching right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, those are great shows.
Yeah.
I just started Designated Survivor.
Yeah.
It's really good. I thought it was very good. But anyway.
I got into season 2.5 of that.
Oh, that's right.
I just enjoy season 1. It's great.
I think it's a very good show. Very well written. Okay, so let's get back to the show. One more question. We got one more question, and then I gotta go. But let's talk about last week. We talked. I talked to Mr. Danny Gorman and Mr. Clayton Phillips, two of our directors, director's cut, and Danny was the director for the show. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about your work. I know, Brad, you mentioned you kind of, stepped into it just a little bit when you were talking about your process. But talk about your work relationship with Danny. Renee, what was your relationship with Danny like?
He's a dream.
He's watching.
He's watching. Hi, I love you. He's a dream director. He for me, the way that he operates, the way he works, the way his mind works, and the way that he comes in so prepared with everything. It's like he is the captain I want at the wheel of my ship, directing anything I do, really, because he's just so imaginative. He's so creative. He's willing to let you play, but then has all of these brilliant ideas and brilliant ways to fine tune that play and make it perfect. I adore him, and I adore what he creates. My first time working with him was actually in Bridges of Madison County, and I fell in love with his directing style then, and really was so excited to know that he was doing Addams Family, because it is a beast of a show. It's huge, and he created this incredible world around us that just let us be the Addams Family and let us be in it. And he helped me so much with everything, and is just one of the most beautiful human beings that I know. Awesome. I love.
And Brad, what was your experience like with Danny as well?
Not talented, just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm gonna wear two hats when I say this, because it's hard for me not to. From a directorial standpoint, I will say one thing, one word: trust. Danny Gorman is someone you trust. He's authentically sincere as a human being, and he's authentically sincere as a director. And I think that plays a lot into how he naturally conceives and works with actors. And he's an actor himself, so I think that goes a long way. But for me and Danny, and the evolution of his career and such, I came into the Addams Family with such a love for what I knew about him. He'd been in Guys and Dolls, or Bye Bye Birdie, yeah. And then came back and had done a few shows directing, and then came into the Addams Family. And I knew he's younger than I am. I know you can't tell by looking at us together, but a little younger. But he is just. He's a remarkable guy. He's a remarkable guy. And it is so exciting to know, and for me personally to know, I'm gonna watch him do amazing things. Whether he, when he comes back to ABT, great, or whatever. He's the kind of person, he's gonna do good things, and he's gonna keep doing great. And I'm just gonna sit there and go, I remember you. I remember you.
For your win. Yeah.
When you win the Tony, honey.
my gosh. Well, hey guys, it's been awesome to talk to you both. I mean, I talk to you both on a regular basis,
Every day.
but to talk to you guys about Addams Family, there were things that I didn't really realize, and that's really fun. And I think that's the heartwarming portion of all of this. I think this is a great a great look inside of our actors and our directors. We have some wonderful programming coming up for Throwback Thursday. We're going to work on some other folks in our teams that we've had in the past to talk to them. We do have all of our programming, like I mentioned. We've got our Makers Monday, Tap Along Tuesday, Workout Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, our cabarets, of course, story time with this lady right here. I'm sorry, she's up there. On Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. If your kids need something to do for half an hour, she'll entertain them, and she'll make sure that they're entertained for that little time there.
Duke's trying to get up on the desk. Go ahead.
Just a reminder for everybody, tomorrow is our cabaret tomorrow night at 7:30 here on Facebook Live. Of course, we love to see your comments, and we'd love to hear from you. Tomorrow is a special edition. This is news right here. I think we posted it earlier, but it is our Mother's Day edition, because Mother's Day is this weekend, and we are doing a special cabaret for our mothers. And so we're looking forward to that a lot. Tomorrow, 7:30 here on Facebook. Hey guys, thank you so much. Look at that puppy, and look at your puppy too, Renee.
He's very well behaved.
He is very well behaved.
He's been jumping the whole time. Rocky's back there going, oh, they put him on camera.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to do this. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kurtis.
Love you both, and I will talk to you very soon. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We can't do it without you. If you feel so generous, please donate to ABT. It's a bit.ly address, so bit.ly/ABT donate. I'm sorry, donate ABT Relief Fund. If you want to be so generous, thank you so much. Without you, we don't exist. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night, 7:30, Cabaret.
Bye everyone. Bye, Renee. Love you.